welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. And if you've joined us this hour, you've been listening to the live press conference as UNLV officially announces at a press conference that a new football coach, Marcus Arroyo. And my initial reaction of this press conference is this, and we're going to get Chris Wynn on the line here in a few minutes because he's there, get his reaction to what's going on here. He's this new coach, Marcus Arroyo, doesn't change my opinion one way or the other on what's transpired here all week. And my opinion about him has been this. He's never been a head coach before. Doesn't mean he's not going to succeed. He's never been a head coach at the D1 level. That was the criticism of the last two coaches, being Bobby Hauck and Tony Sanchez. Sanchez never coached a lick in the college level. Bobby Hauck was a D2 head coach, and, of course, Sanchez was a high school coach. The one good thing about this guy is, yes, he has been an assistant coach at a very high level at the D1 position, but never been a head coach before. And I had that same criticism with Dave Rice when they hired Dave Rice for the basketball program. Never been a head coach before. Didn't work out. So, yes, there are some coaches out there. If they had accepted the job, I would have said this is going to be a slam dunk. This is going to be a workout. I am not going to say that about this guy. With all due respect to him, I hope it works out. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope it does work out. I hope he does succeed here. But the thing that really confuses me, and I understand you want to say all the right things.
Which he did.
TJ Otzelberger, when we went to his press conference, he said some things that I thought were ridiculous. Starting with talking about bringing a national championship back to UNLV. This is a team that hasn't even won an NCAA tournament game in a decade, and he's talking about winning a national championship.
Not
so that is
that,
my issue with TJ Otzelberger.
You've got your Dukes and your Kansases.
And then this guy, Arroyo, I mentioned it before we took a break. He said he met with the players last night, which is great. But he also said he believes with the players that he met last night, he has what it takes to win right now. So I compute that to, there's no reason why we can't make a bowl game next year. That is a very bold statement to make for a team and a program that has been awful for decades. I didn't like the fact that he said that. A part of me is like, he's putting more pressure on himself. But now that I think about it, is that really giving you enough time?
Well, and then he also it stated 5 or 10 minutes prior to that he had just met those players last night for the first time.
Yeah. Well,
so that's a pretty quick assessment without watching. I mean, I'm sure he's watched some game, Phil, but without having practices, et cetera, it just seemed like kind of a coach's big thing to say.
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out some more information about this process and how much money he's getting paid. I'm sure they gave out that information at the press conference. We'll talk to Chris Wynn in a little bit. But why don't we take some phone calls from you guys out there? What do you think about UNLV football's new head coach? We just played the press conference for you, Marcus Arroyo, the new coach at UNLV. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Should there be some concerns, or you think this is a slam dunk touchdown of a hire, so to speak? 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, give us a call right now. 702-257-5396. And, of course, next week I would imagine we are going to get Coach Arroyo on the line, and we'll love to talk to him. What do you guys think out there? 257-5396. Why don't we start off with Chuck? Chuck, thanks for calling in. What do you make of this?
Yeah, just kind of was he the only guy they interviewed, or was there a bunch? I didn't see a list.
That's a very
It was awful quick.
I got to tell Chuck, if I was at that press conference, that would have been the first question I would have asked. And I promise you this, Chuck, if and when we get Francois, the athletic director, on the line, that is one of the first questions I will ask her. You are absolutely right. This was a really quick hire. Really quick.
Usually it's involved and,
No, you're right. You're right. I agree. And that raises some concerns, does it not?
Oh, yeah. Wow, they have a head coach. Wow, I didn't hear any, other ones.
Especially after they fired Tony Sanchez 2 weeks prior to the season ending. Then you don't really interview anyone. Within 2 weeks, you've got a coach who doesn't have any head coaching experience from a school that is a winning school. But again, you've got Nike and you've got all that swag and all those products that it's okay to give these players. And you've got Autzen Stadium, and it's just you've got a whole different environment than you've got at UNLV. And this coach, he hasn't had to make any second half adjustments.
Yep.
He's an offensive guy. He has zero head coaching experience when he's at a disadvantage with talent, and that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, Chuck, I promise you, my friend, when we get Francois on the line, hopefully we'll get her on next week. I promise you, I will ask that question for you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
Appreciate
Chuck.
the call.
Okay, guys.
Thank you. 257-5396 is the number to call, 702-257-5396. It's also important to note that Francois developed some sort of relationship. I'm not saying dating relationship, so don't that's not what I'm saying. But she had some sort of relationship with Arroyo at San Jose State.
She was the head of compliance at San Jose State.
And Arroyo was the head quarterback at that time.
Arroyo was the quarterback for San Jose State, yeah.
Take some more calls at 257-5396. There's no question that has something to do with this. Let's talk to Roberto. Roberto, thanks for calling in. Your thoughts?
Happy Friday, you guys.
Thank you, Roberto. What's on your mind?
Anyways,
what do you think?
No matter who it is, I think we got to give them a couple seasons.
Well, absolutely.
No
Absolutely.
This is very true.
So hopefully it'll work out. Who knows?
Well, Roberto, I agree with you. Of course, we're not going to, like I said, everything I say is with the preface of, hey, I hope it works out. We got to give him some time. I said the same thing about T.J. Otzelberger, but I'm going to tell you something, Roberto, and you can tell me whether you agree or not. I don't like what I've seen from T.J. Otzelberger as far as from a coaching perspective early in this basketball season. I'm not going to say that about this guy Arroyo because I don't know how he's going to be as a head coach. But Otzelberger's defense, not very good. His offense so far is atrocious. You can make excuses and say, well, got some injuries and stuff like that. But I don't think Otzelberger has been proven at the D1 college level because he won a couple years at South Dakota State. This guy has never been a head coach before. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Doesn't mean I'm not going to support him. Doesn't mean we're all not going to root for him. I'm just saying, Roberto, let me give you an example, right? For example, let's just say hypothetically, and they could have hired this guy for the basketball program, Rick Pitino. Would anybody on the planet have any concerns that this guy wouldn't have been able to win here and recruit? Absolutely not. They could have hired Mike Miller, a guy that's a former NBA All-Star that would have gotten a bunch of five-star recruits here. I wouldn't have had any concerns about Mike Miller. All I'm saying is I have concerns about this hire, and I hope I'm wrong, my friend. I really do.
But, when it comes to Rick Pitino,
yeah,
he would have dangled the hookers in front of the players, and then they would have came into the program.
I got to tell you something, Roberto, and you might disagree with me on this one. I would rather hire a guy that has some of this stuff over his head. Remember, Jerry Tarkanian had a lot of things over, maybe not hookers, but he also brought us a national championship. I would rather have Rick Pitino and a guy that has had a strange past but is one of the best coaches of all time than to hire a guy from South Dakota State with a clean record but is an unproven head coach.
Okay.
All right, Roberto. All right, my friend. Thank you for the phone call.
Thanks a lot, Roberto.
I do appreciate it. 257-5396 is the number to call. Listen, we all need to support this guy until maybe something doesn't go right. Then we need to critique him. Listen, we can still support and we can. I'm rooting for T.J. Otzelberger. He's been great to me. He's been great to the show. He's the nicest guy in the world. It doesn't mean we can't criticize. And if you listen to some other radio stations, they'll never say anything negative about UNLV athletics. It's called no credibility. There are some writers in this town that still think that Marvin Menzies should be the basketball coach, that think that, Tony Sanchez, they should give him another contract because of this facility. We don't do that kind of show here. We're always going to be honest. Doesn't mean we don't want UNLV to succeed. Of course I want UNLV to succeed because they're a lot more fun to cover when they're winning than when they're losing. It's been miserable the last 10 years since Lon Kruger left. Absolutely miserable to cover a bad football and basketball program. I wish I could say that UNLV was going to be playing in a bowl game in a couple weeks. I wish I could say that the UNLV basketball team was a top 25 team in the country and there's 12,000 people in the Thomas and Mack. It's just not happening. Okay, so that's why we are critiquing the athletic department. That is why we are critiquing coaches. And I think it is absolutely, positively fair to do that. Why don't we try to sneak in a few more quick calls, and then we're going to be joined by Chris Wynn, who is reporting live from the press conference. Let's go to Marge. Marge, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hi. It's kind of interesting to me, and I don't think it was that quick. My feeling about all this is she probably gave Sanchez, a couple of games, wanted to see what he was doing. And once he started losing, she was like, okay, he's out of here. I'm going to go quietly in search.
Right.
Knew this person. So It was a very, very convenient.
Personal relationship. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes a long way whenever you're recruiting anyway.
Sure. I agree. Yep.
And this is a pattern of practice for her. She's bringing in talent that really does not have the background or experience to really have a top team. But she gets out of situations this way very easily. And the other thing that I kind of laughed about is when she was doing her introductory comments.
Yeah.
I felt like we were at the Academy Awards or some award ceremony. I mean, why is she thanking her husband?
Yeah, it's bizarre. I
mean,
agree.
that was crazy.
It all sounds the exact same.
It was Marge. It was the exact same speech she made when she introduced T.J. Otzelberger. He came in on a helicopter. Yeah, Marge, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I don't know why you keep you're doing your job. Why do you have to thank your husband? You hired a coach. I don't know. That was a little weird.
I can see some of the management, you know. But
I agree.
Then again, this personal thing, I mean, that made no sense.
Well, very Marge, scripted. She almost sounded like a politician.
Marge, always good to hear from you. We appreciate your phone call. Thank you.
Marge.
And by the way, if T.J. Otzelberger does win a national championship, or let alone wins some games in the NCAA tournament, then she can start thanking her husband because it was a great, accomplishment. If this new coach, Arroyo, gets to a bowl game within a couple of years, then she could start do some acceptance speeches. But all she's done right now is hire a couple coaches. And, the basketball thing not working out so far. It's early. Let's take one more quick phone call, then we'll go to Chris Wynn. Let's go to Paul. Paul, what do you think about all this?
What's up, Paul?
Hey, guys. Hey, the way I feel about it is UNLV is not like a hot destination for top-notch coaches. So this guy, he led a highly ranked offense. He was the offensive coordinator. So, he could turn out to be the next big thing. And again, of course, honestly, there is no slam dunks for coaches because if they were able to get Bill Belichick to come to UNLV, they're not winning the national championship.
What about Gruden? What if they hired a guy like Gruden? Wouldn't that have been a slam dunk?
Yeah, but I think he already has a team.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't be a slam dunk either. It would be great because I'm a Raider fan, but they have to build it, and they say he's a great recruiter, which is important. He's got a stadium to use as a new recruiting tool. He's young. He's not one of those old, cranky-looking old guys.
Well, he's definitely not. You're right about that.
I think he would relate to young guys.
I tend to agree with you. We don't know what the future holds. Nobody does. I'm only telling you my concerns, Paul. I appreciate your positivity, and you might be right. My concerns are he's never been a head coach before. There is a big difference between being an offensive coordinator and being a head coach. Doesn't mean he's not going to succeed, and it doesn't mean that there are not other former offensive coordinators that haven't turned out to be great head coaches. All I'm saying is this is an extremely difficult job. This team has been horrible for decades, and I'm not sure, and I'm very skeptical to think that this young and up-and-coming coach is going to turn the UNLV program around. I hope I'm wrong. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hopefully he will. And as far as the press conference goes, I have never seen the lady. She's the athletic director, I suppose. Right? Is that right?
Yes, Francois.
The announcement.
Yes, correct.
I gotta admit, man, she's very attractive, and what she seemed to me was like a Disney girl that just accepted the homecoming queen.
Maybe she's dating this guy. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Paul, I'm telling you, man, they'd be a good match.
Possibly. I don't know. I don't know if her husband and his wife would like that, but maybe you're right.
You never know.
You never. Hey, Paul, we're in Las Vegas. You never know. All right. Appreciate the call, Paul. Thank you.
Good call, Paul.
Appreciate your comments. All right. So we got a guy on the line right now. He joins us every Wednesday on the show. He's been covering UNLV for years, and he was actually at the press conference. He's still at the press conference right now. That is our correspondent and our co-host, Chris Wynn. Chris, what's going on?
What's up, Chris?
Gentlemen, good to talk to you again. Of course, it'd be an understatement to say that it is a upbeat and optimistic atmosphere here, obviously bringing in a brand new head coach, someone from a Power 5 school, and that's exactly the case. Marcus Arroyo just recently announced as the new head coach here at UNLV, and he talked, you guys have just been mentioning, of course, the facilities and what the expectations are. He was talking about it in his press conference, and I think you guys ran it, right? You ran the complete press conference in his comments. So you heard the facility was a major factor to bring him here. I mean, it is.
But Chris, can I interject, Chris, and ask you something because I want to get your reaction. One of the he said all the right things. Same thing that TG. He said the things that we all expected him to say. But here's something I didn't expect him to say. He said that looking at the men that are in front of him right now and the players that he met last night, he believes he has enough to win right now. I was a little surprised to hear him say that. Did that surprise you?
That surprised me, but you would expect that, right, from a coach coming in. It's his first head coaching opportunity. He's going to look at everything in the most positive light he can. So he's going to, look, you don't want to lose your locker room immediately right off the bat. So he's going to unload a lot of positive aspects as to what he has here. Now, we all know the reality, and JD touched on it yesterday on the show. It's going to be about his recruiting ability. What's he going to be able to do? It's a lot different when you're recruiting at Oregon and at Oklahoma State at a Power 5 school than it is here at UNLV. in the Mountain West. So that's going to be really a telltale when it comes to Coach Arroyo, is what he can do as far as bringing in players.
It's also a lot different when you're coaching a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you've got wide receivers like Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson. And I mean, it's just about, he's always been surrounded by a lot of talent, whether it's Chuba Hubbard or whether it's C.J. Verdell or Justin Herbert or Mike Evans or Vincent Jackson. And at UNLV, he's just not going to have that same opportunity.
Chris,
at least not initially.
Chris, did anybody ask the question, why did this? Why was this so fast? Did anybody? Do you know how much money they're paying this guy? Did they hand out?
I would expect we'll get the details on that. He just did a radio hit, and he's going to be doing a scrum with the rest of the media where we'll be able to ask more in-depth questions, I'm sure, right, Brian, than what was, obviously was able to say in that press conference, and Desiree Reed-Francois as well, too. I also got some audio from Randall Cunningham, obviously arguably the best UNLV Rebel football player.
Well, I have an announcement to make, and I have an announcement to make. Randall Cunningham will be joining us live on the show next week on Wednesday. So we'll get Randall. Yeah. We will get a live interview with Randall Cunningham, obviously UNLV legend.
Is that in studio or on the phone, bro?
I believe it'll be he'll be calling in, and that'll be a lot of fun to catch. It's good that Randall is back around the program, by the way. So tell me a little bit about what the atmosphere was like there. Any other people that you recognized? I would imagine there's probably a lot of UNLV players that are there. And what did Randall say, by the way? Can you tell me, since you did interact with Randall Cunningham, what did he tell you?
Yeah, he basically, in a nutshell, to kind of round it out, he talked about his recruiting ability every place that he's been in college. Didn't really mention a whole lot of stuff about, his work in the NFL with the Buccaneers. But Randall Cunningham, from his perspective, I'm going to tell you, Brian and JD, he is fired up about this hire with Marcus Arroyo. And he mentioned how Marcus Arroyo told him, look, I have an open door policy. And Randall said, you know what? I'll be taking you up on that. So, careful what you wish for, Marcus Arroyo, because Randall's, you mentioned Brian, obviously, it appears that he's going to be much more involved with the program than he has been in the very recent past. Apparently, that's a green light for Randall Cunningham to be much more involved. And Coach Arroyo says, hey, my door's open, and he wants to hear from legends like Randall. And, of course, friend of the show, Caleb Herring, actually is right now talking to Randall Cunningham about 5 feet away from me. So it's reasonable to expect the alumni to get fired up when you bring in a coach after, it's been, 20-plus years since this team has really been relevant when it comes to college football. And it was a festive atmosphere. I'm not going to lie. Both JD and Brian, it was, that's the way it's going to be, though, right? I mean, everyone's going to have an optimistic look. They're going to be upbeat as far as what the expectations are. But he's going to have to hit the ground running, and we'll see exactly what he's able to do.
Listen, I'm sorry.
From a recruiting standpoint,
yeah, you're right.
Building a program.
I agree with everything you said, Chris. But you and I have been in this town 20+ years. Look, I'm sorry I have this attitude. If people want to knock on me for having this attitude, I'll tell you why. But I will believe it when I see it. I will believe it when I see it, when this team actually wins. And I don't care who's coaching this team, but, the bottom line is this is a difficult job. We're talking about making bowl games and turning this thing around. Yeah, it's going to be an easier job because of the facilities. There's no question about that. But again, this is a guy who's never been a head coach before. It doesn't mean he won't be successful, but he's never been a head coach before. And if it doesn't work out, to me, that is the reason why, because they hired somebody who has never been a head coach. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he makes a bowl game next year. I hope he proves me wrong. There will be nobody more happier than me covering a football team that actually is a winning program.
And I will talk to Desiree Reed-Francois. She's going to be doing also a scrum here pretty soon. So, again, like I pointed out with Coach Arroyo, we'll be able to get more in depth as far as, the details, right, Brian and JD?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The money situation, as well as the timing. Why did this have to go down so quickly? It was it was as if Coach Arroyo had, 15, 20 other head coaching offers, and they had to pull the trigger right away with him. So we'll see exactly what the situation is regarding that, and how the approach was as far as the UNLV athletic program and the hiring of Coach Arroyo.
And see when do us a favor and take some pictures of that Fertitta complex we can put up on our Twitter page.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be live. I'm already all over that, JD.
Good.
It's a pretty sweet setup here. I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. It is from a locker room standpoint, from the weight room to all the aesthetics. They had all the cheerleaders out today greeting everybody at every entrance.
I would have enjoyed that. I would have enjoyed that
Pretty-
tremendously.
That would have been. That's a Brian Shapiro
Right.
favorite right there.
But
to
they
have
wouldn't
that
have enjoyed it,
going
Brian.
on.
They would have enjoyed it,
They
too.
would have definitely not enjoyed it.
Well, Chris, I don't want to keep you from your work, my friend. Go out there and talk to Francois, get some more information for us, and we will discuss all that on Monday. Chris, great job, my friend. Thank you for being out there for us, and have a good weekend.
All right, take care, guys.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks a lot,
There
Chris.
you go. That's Chris Wynn, correspondent Chris Wynn. No, not Dan Rather or Tom Brokaw. Correspondent Chris Wynn out there covering it.
I
Okay,
thought
so
he sounded good.
he did a great
I thought
job.
he sounded very
so,
good.
So, listen, you could have, and again, people are going to say, well, Brian, you're being negative. I want this team to win more than anybody. But you can have all the best facilities in the world. Okay, you could even have all the best recruiters in the world. Recruiting top talent doesn't mean you're going to win. It's funny because at San Diego State, their offense is atrocious, but they're so good defensively that they make bowl games every year. There's something that program does consistently that is so impressive. I think that's where UNLV wants to strive to be. Do something really good. And if you can do something really good, then chances are you might be able to turn this thing around. 257-5396 is the number to call. 702-257-5396 if you want to ask us a question or you have a comment on this new UNLV football hire. Let's go to Brian. Brian, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead.
What's up, Brian?
Hey, guys. Hey, JD. I have a challenge for you guys. First off, I wanted to say yesterday's Terry Fader interview was one of the best you've done. I was driving around town. I almost ran off the road when he was telling the story about doing it from the luggage at the airport. Oh, my gosh, that was hysterical.
He's a funny guy. I appreciate that. He's going to come in studio for us, too. He's a great guy.
I heard that. I was just going to say that. I can't wait to hear that one.
Thank you.
And also the Brian Kilmeade interview that you did was absolutely wonderful.
Wow, this is like a love fest, Brian. I'm blushing.
I want to give you your dues when you do it because now I'm telling you, you're an excellent interviewer, and
I appreciate that.
Both of you guys were excellent on both of those interviews.
It's Feelings Friday, Brian. Feelings Friday.
Well, Brian,
baby. I have a challenge for you both.
Okay, what's that?
Since you talked about the movie yesterday, Clint Eastwood movie, I have a movie I'd like to challenge you guys to see before it leaves town. It's only playing in one theater, and that's at the Regal Village Square Theater out in Summerlin. It's called No Safe Spaces.
Ooh.
By Dennis
All right, I'll tell you
Barola.
what. I am going to, Brian, I apologize because I'm up against a hard break, our show, but I'm going to tell you what. Do me a favor. Call us again on Monday when I have a little bit more time to talk to you and tell us a little bit about that movie. Fair? Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
I might not be around then, but I will.
Well, all right. Fair. Please call us Monday because I'm up against a weekend break. We got to go, folks. It's been a fun show. Check us out.
Thanks for the call, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. The website is thevegastake.com. Check that out. We're also on YouTube, the Facebook page, The Vegas Take, and, of course, Twitter at The Vegas Take. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been a fun week of shows. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. We will see you on Monday.